Good blessed Friday morning, September the 10th, 2021. It's about 9:12 a.m. I greet all human beings all around the world with a universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. It doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor your religious beliefs may be. It doesn't even matter whether you're the richest to the poorest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't even matter whether you are the proclaimed toughest to the proclaimed weakest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter if you're my family, friends, nor my proclaimed enemies. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, or whatever your nationality or race may be. It doesn't matter even if you like me or anything that I put on social internet. I welcome your likes and dislikes. I welcome your compliments as well as your criticism. You have a right as a human being to think as you please. I'm one that firmly believes that a mind is a terrible thing to waste. As I look over I-57, Interstate 57 here in Charleston, Missouri, the white truck is headed southbound on I-57. This truck here is heading northbound on I-57. In the 1940s, when my dad, may he rest in peace, honorably discharged World War II veteran, when he was discharged out of the military, he was drafted here in Charleston, Missouri, but he was discharged in Fort Sheridan, Illinois. He came back to get my mother. They have lived down here in southeast Missouri in the Boot Hill. They was practically born and raised here. They decided what they went through here in southeast Missouri during the times that they was being brought up, raised. They was God-fearing to their death. They was respectful to their death. May both of them rest in peace. But they didn't want their children's. They wanted to raise a family, which they did. It was 9 of us. They didn't want us to be born down here where they was born at because of the treatment of people of color, black people in general, in particular. Even though years later I never knew that I'll be coming back down here to help take care of my dad's mother until she passed. Years later, I never had or entertained the thought that I would have to go up to Chicago and get my dad and bring him back down to his hometown. And 6 years later, he passed away. I'm saying all this here to say it's a journey. It's a struggle, whether some people want to accept it or not when you're born black. Well, not just when you're born black, but when you're born black and you speak your mind. You see, some people was born black and they used to being taught and raised to bow down to another race of people that they are taught that's superior than them. My mom and dad didn't raise me that way. Although my mom and dad, their mom and dad and their grandparents and those before them, they seen a lot of racism, but they never bowed down to those that was oppressing them, to those that thought that they were superior than them, and they instilled that in me. You see, I grew up in the North, even though there was some racism, but you had some unity. I grew up in what they call the infamous, the most notorious housing projects in the United States, so they say, Cabrini Green. In Cabrini Green, we didn't do as black people, we didn't do as they doing down here in Charleston, Missouri, and even in Southeast Missouri, the Boot Heel period. Blacks, we didn't do like they doing down in Carbondale, Illinois, in Jackson County, Southern Illinois. You see, it's a different group of blacks there that the oppressor put in power, put in these positions called the NAACP. Once upon a time, the NAACP stood for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. But today it don't stand for that. It's the National Association for the Advancement of Certain Colored People. Now, I know you're going to have some people that disagree with that, but that's okay. That's your prerogative. But the facts is the facts, and it speaks for itself. Now, you take a look in Carbondale, Illinois, with all these blacks being shot and killed. Then you got black females that's in position of the NAACP in Carbondale, Illinois chapter. They belong to various other groups. One of them, I don't know if they live in Carbondale, Illinois, or in Marion, Illinois, because when I was at a city council meeting speaking about my son being hung in Carbondale, Illinois, Bryan Lamar Johns, on March the 19th, 2021, it's a female that has high ranking in the Carbondale, Illinois NAACP chapter. When she addressed the city council, she told her name, and she said she gave an address where she lived in Carbondale, Illinois. But then when you see other records, her address is in Marion, Illinois. You see, something is wrong with that. They said when it looks like a duck, quack like a duck, walk like a duck, act like a duck, it ain't a sparrow, it's a duck. But let me tell you this here. I'm watching a lot of things in Carbondale, Illinois, because of my son being hung there, and I seen this same person who I filed a complaint with the NAACP chapter in Carbondale, Illinois, with the two high-ranking females, black females from Chicago. I believe both of them is SIU graduates, Southern Illinois University graduates. And it was against the police department in Carbondale, but I found out later the president, the female president from Chicago, I believe a graduate from the University of Illinois, her and some of her crew, they helped put the chief of police in, so it would probably be a conflict of interest. But see, I made a complaint with them about my son being hung, and not one time have they shared it on their page. Not one time that have they sat down and had a meeting with me, but I looked and seen one of the other NAACP females who I sent my complaint to, who actually gave me the paperwork to send my complaints, had 2 phone numbers on them, and both of them was disconnected. I guess they dues is not being paid, but anyway, that's another story. But not once have any of them put my son's name in the paper. It's been over 170-something days, and no paper has mentioned my son a name as being harmed. But yet it's been a death investigation over 170-something days. But let me tell you about this female who had an address at the city council meeting in Carbondale as an address in Carbondale, but in other places it's Marion, Illinois. But I seen her making a comment when this 18-year-old female from Chicago, Illinois, who was murdered in Carbondale, Illinois, a freshman in the SIU University. She was murdered on August the 22nd, 2021. And this same female, she had that mic speaking, talking about stopping the violence, but black folks have started getting shot and killed, and I ain't heard nothing else. But it must be a SIU thing, or back to the National Association for the Advancement of Certain Colored People. Not all people. But I also seen this female again speaking up about some police following behind a black man that had a white woman in the vehicle with him, in an infant less than a year old in the back seat of a vehicle, and the police put their lights on. It was pitch black outside, and the police put their lights on, and they put their siren on to try to have him to stop. But he kept on going. Now, she would tell you, if you didn't look at the video, you would believe it. She would tell you that what the police said, that his tail lights wasn't on. I watched the video several times. If it's pitch black at nighttime and the police behind you and you can see the vehicle and their lights is on, they're hitting their siren and their air horn, and you don't see no lights till the individual vehicle get close to a stop sign and they hit their brakes, and you can see the lights, the brake lights real good. And then when they just go head on, keep on going until they get to their house instead of stopping for the police. This female said that the police, it was racial profiling. But then it get deeper now. She speak about this, but ain't speaking about my son and know about it. She said it was racial profiling. The guy headlights was on. If you look at that video, if you want it, all you got to do is text me or leave a message, and I'll give you send you the video, and you can visibly see. That's like you see these cars going past that this guy lights wasn't on. But then when he get to pull up in this place, I'm assuming that it was his house, he get out the car, the white female get out the car, the police tell him several times, step back in the car. It was a simple command, step back in the car. You already wouldn't stop. But some people say, oh, he must didn't see the lights. If he didn't see those lights and kept on going, get to the stop sign and pause a little bit, not actually stop, but then keep on going, he knew what he was doing. He knew he seen him, because when he pulled up in this driveway, what he did was he got out, and they refused to do what the police say. The police told him several times, both of them, get back in the car. Get back in the car. Get back in the car. I'm listening to it. I'm looking at it. Then when they go over and they told him if he didn't go with their commands, that they were going to handcuff him and arrest him, he still wouldn't. He was talking about a surgery that he had. But the surgery that he had, it didn't stop him from keep on going. It didn't stop him from sitting down. And then the police tried to handcuff him and he wouldn't let them. So other police come. That's something normal, y'all. Stop calling everything racial profiling. Stop trying to get money for things that didn't happen. Look at them, y'all. You see how they sitting down and listening? They tired of it too. But let me go on, y'all. Then it got to the point that he was resisting and they tased him. I ain't gonna say they tased him too many times or didn't tase him enough. You see what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter, he brought this on himself. Then the white female, she get the video on and said, "What y'all doing?" It's actual common sense what they doing. They doing their job. You done refuse to stop. You running stop signs. You got tail lights that's not on, and it's obvious that you don't have it on. But yet you got the NAACP all the way in Carbondale, Illinois, speaking up for you in Harron, Illinois, saying that it was racial profiling. Now it's another one that just happened in Marion on August the 31st, 2021, that end up where a black man was found in the pond dead, and the pond supposed to have been on the property of an associate judge. Now, somebody else was talking about sharing it, which I don't see no harm in sharing that. But then I'm looking at the female sharing that, the NAACP personnel sharing that, but ain't shared my sons. You know why? Because she and the NAACP president, both of the females from Chicago, they met with the prosecuting attorney. They met with the chief of police privately without me being there. But they ain't saying nothing publicly. What that tell you? You see, but one thing about it, God is working, and I'm looking at all these people that was on my son's Facebook page. It was 800 and I think almost 80 people. Now it's 858. They disappeared. Some of them that my son mentioned their name that he was into it with, and I told the police about it, the so-called investigating police. And guess what happened? The names got to disappear off of my son's Facebook page. But I'm gonna leave y'all with this here. Black folks, everybody that's in positions, they ain't necessary for trying to help blacks that's being misused. You see, ain't nobody spoke up for my son in Carbondale. A lot of people said they're his friends. Some of y'all may see that I started deleting y'all. I'm deleting you for a reason. You see what I'm saying? You know that my son wasn't suicidal, but you ain't speaking up. I commend all of you all that has been, and I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be a fight to the end. Peace be still.